and tonight's my first night doing comedy.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Have you ever gotten secondhand embarrassment? Like going to see Borat with a friend and his mom when you're 16 because she had no idea how crazy it was going to be. True story, that was awkward. But I've always had a severe case of secondhand embarrassment. You know, typically embarrassing situations. Ah, yes, the early 2010s. You might remember an absolute trash heap of a show called The Jersey Shore. It was basically a reality TV show just turned all the way up to 11. Side note, I actually auditioned for an MTV reality show, believe it or not, called The Real World. And I actually got pretty far along in the audition process, but it just wasn't meant to be. Now it's a blessing, honestly. The Jersey Shore, fortunately for the cast members, was all the rage, and unfortunately for everybody else. But this story starts with one of the main cast members of that show, nicknamed The Situation. Comedy Central, out of all people, decided to reach out to him. And they said, hey, how would you like to do stand-up as a completely unqualified individual? Some people actually believe deep down that this whole thing we're about to talk about, Comedy Central might have done this completely on purpose. The only problem though for Mike The Situation was not only was he going to do stand-up, he was going to do it arguably in front of the most brutal crowd in the world. The roast, something that most people know nowadays and is pretty commonplace. But when the roast got a little bit bigger, Comedy Central would bring on celebrities and have comedians stand up, look at this celebrity and tell them offensive jokes about them to their face. And to be honest, watching a roast for me already brings me a little bit of secondhand embarrassment because I kind of feel bad. Like that's just how I am. Then there was the legend Norm Macdonald who felt the same way. He was just telling dad jokes the entire time and he found it hilarious that he was destroying his own set. So arguably my favorite roast set was a guy completely ruining his own roast set. But I was in college at the time and this was 2011. Shows like Kill Tony had not taken off into the stratosphere yet. So we gathered around in my dorm room, we turned on the TV on Comedy Central to watch the roast. And nobody else in the room had ever watched a roast. So it was an interesting dynamic to see even in the room. And so the roast starts and out of all people, it's the roast of Donald Trump. Wild times, dude. And let's just say, Trump was not a fan of what was going on during the show. And ironically, Trump was kind of the butt of a joke about becoming president at the time. By the way, this is 2011. Anyway, this is not a political video whatsoever. I'm just trying to give some context of what was going on at the time. Trump was still known as the real estate agent, the guy from The Apprentice, and that guy from Home Alone 2. So comedians go up, they do their roast, and it overall goes pretty well for them. They get some laughs, people are having a decent time. And then it was time for The Situation. He went up to the podium and fully embraced his trashy, exaggerated New Jersey attitude from Jersey Shore. I guess he thought when he went up to the podium, if he just acted like the D-bag from the show, that it would be funny to people. But you could even see that the other comedians had no idea where this was going. And then he opened his mouth.
Can you believe this guy with his capped teeth, his hair products, and his fake tan? I mean, you're actually looking good, bro.
It literally made me tight in the chest to watch this again. You already know with the first line, it's gonna be absolutely terrible. You can tell he had never done stand-up or even much public speaking, rather. It's different to have cameras on you all the time and just kind of improvise everything and then it's edited later. It's another thing to be live on national television and trying to be funny. And he did not succeed at any of this whatsoever.
Okay, yeah. On the Jersey Shore, we call ugly chicks grenades. I actually wouldn't call you a grenade because you're not blowing up anytime soon.
And you can actually see the comedians halfway sympathizing because they know what it's like to have a really bad set. Or they were just completely straight-faced, like no emotion whatsoever. You know things are really bad when Snoop Dogg is just sitting there straight-faced. And then you hear Jeff Ross, who is considered one of the best roasters of all time, yelling and cheering for him to be like, you're doing great, buddy.
Do it, baby, do it.
But then The Situation makes a huge mistake. He looks at Jeff Ross and goes,
Jeff, me and you have a lot in common, buddy. We're both from Jersey, and tonight's my first night doing comedy.
But then Jeff Ross sees the opportunity, reads the room, and stands up and fires right back.
It's also your last night, just so you know.
Every joke the situation said was about getting girls, about getting money.
Because she's like the 5th model this week to do that. So, you know what I'm saying, right? Maybe not.
Instead of getting the crowd on his side as basically a cool playboy, it completely backfired. The crowd is visually cringing harder than they can even take, and the boos start happening.
Hey, chill.
And this didn't help the situation. Because not only was he not taken seriously by this crowd because he was just a dumb reality TV star in their eyes, this was proving everybody's point that this guy didn't deserve to be on TV. He didn't deserve to have all this fame and money. And it was just hitting it home one after another. And then he finally turns towards Trump and says,
It's kind of okay because he completely let himself go anyway. Donald.
and your wife married you for love? Actually, no. It was for the money. And then it's all over. The crowd has been lost.
Oh, hey, what are you gonna do? Hey!
Like a Roman mob, they have thumbs down this man. They finally had enough. And I just remember the air being so awkward and tense in the room that I was watching the roast with everybody. All of us looked at each other and were like, should we turn this off? Do we even bother? This is so hard to watch. Out of sheer desperation, Jeff Ross tried to make an abs joke with the situation to try to like lighten the mood, but it was too late. And the dog is having none of it, dude. But then he sat back down and went to commercial break, and then Trump roasted him right back. And it actually worked.
Of advice, my greasy friend, of the atrocities that we as a nation must endure, like the Jersey Shore.
Oh, what a wild time. What do you think is the worst stand-up set of all time that you've seen? Have you seen worse than this? I'd be shocked if you have. But I really appreciate you guys coming over to That Dude Too and giving this a watch. Please hit the like button. I really appreciate it. And let's send this channel to the stratosphere. This channel is all about pulling random topics out of my head and random thoughts. So thanks for coming along for the ride. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.